Hey Michelle, how's it going?
Hey,
So we're here in Dubai, and you're coaching Laura Horvath, right?
yep,
You're any other athletes as well?
yeah, I got Alex Smith and Brennan Swan.
And how's the experience go so far? What's been your takeaway of the competition?
So far, the competition's been pretty, I want to say, kind of low key. It's not as, it's hard. I had no expectations coming in. The organization seems to be a little bit looser than what I'm used to, which is good and not so good. But overall, it's a great location. Like the venue is good for this style of competition, and the floor is great from what we've seen so far. The athletes seem more chill. I think that I was expecting maybe a little bit more intensity from the athletes, considering it's a sanctioned event, but I think the fact that there's only one spot really changes the vibe a little bit. It is a high level competition, but from my perspective and from my athletes that I have, it hasn't been anywhere near the nerves of regionals, for example. So it's been good, but kind of like different, you know.
And do you think that it's kind of what you expected based on the new format? Because I mean, this is the first event of ours,
Yeah.
of a new season basically. But what are your kind of thoughts on that?
I think there are a lot of mistakes that are understandable, considering it's the first of its kind and it's the first of the season, and you know, we're like, from my perspective, my experience has always been with CrossFit Games events, CrossFit events, and this is my first time in Dubai, so I didn't know what to expect. Like it's hard. It's everyone's kind of like, I feel like everyone's in these new waters and everyone's kind of like not sure what to do, and we'll see. I think next year is going to be more appropriate in terms of like things will be settled in. We'll have a good idea. So I don't know. It's kind of like unknown for me right now. The feelings are, it's a fun comp. The athletes aren't too banged up. It resembles the games in a lot of ways in terms of events. Like I'm hearing a lot of athletes saying like, I want to do CrossFit. Where's the CrossFit? And I'm like, yeah, well, that's the CrossFit Games. That's been most athletes' feedback at the game. So it resembles that in that way. If they have the events that are you know, varied and I don't want to say fair because everyone's doing the same events, but if, like, I don't think the events are as complete as they could be, but that's my personal opinion. So.
Do you think it's part of the growing process with this?
I really think so, but it really depends. The good thing about this and the problem about all of this sanctioned event is that you're going to be dependent on the style of the organizers. So it's a good thing because it allows for some creativity, but it's a bad thing in the sense that we've been working under the same umbrella for so long that we're gonna need time to adjust, and it feels like we haven't had that time.
So you just mentioned the sentiment. It's kind of like this wait and see kind of uncertainty about the situation. You're responsible for a lot of big name athletes. You know, Laura here, Patrick as well. What has been your general approach with handling them and kind of helping direct them through this new season?
Well, to be honest with you, even me, I'm having trouble dealing with the changes. I had a lot of resistance at the beginning, and I felt my sentiment was always towards, I have one regionals level athlete at my gym that works out at my gym, and I just felt for him because he's trying to do this full time. He doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the sponsors that, you know, Laura or Pat has, and yeah, there's more opportunities for him to qualify, but he doesn't have the money to do it. So we're doing what we can to help him out to the sanctioned events, and unfortunately in Canada this year we don't have any sanctioned events, so he's forced to kind of like spend more money on traveling and all the accommodation, and then his support crew has to also spend a lot of money on traveling. And so to me, I see the logistical parts of those kinds of athletes, those regional, like those 15 to 5 like regional athletes are going to struggle with this new format. So what I've kind of explained to those guys is kind of like, they're still young, lucky for them, they're still young. So this year is more like a, you know, look at what's going to happen this year. There's no reason to push and force anything. In fact, this could be good for training for 2020. get really worked in on specific weaknesses and building up the athlete that they want to be. But it's still like a lot of them struggled with motivation, especially in October, November was really, really hard for those athletes. And then for athletes like Laura and Pat, it's like, well, the goal is the game. So like, and they have sponsors, so that they're top level wherever they go, and they have a lot of plans to fall back onto. It's just that now I'm realizing like it's not like, oh, if this doesn't work, then this doesn't work. Like there needs to be some kind of limit as to like, okay, this year's not going to work out, then we're going to think about next year.
Yeah.
So I'm learning in all this, the athletes are learning in all this, and I wish I was as confident, and it's maybe other coaches like, this is how it's going to go, but the reality is that I can't make a decision until I see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a reset year, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And has that been the feedback from Laura and Pat? 'Cause I mean, like you said, the goals of the games, they're podium athletes.
Yeah.
What has been that kind of their feedback in terms of how they're trying to manage this as well?
Laura's just like, well, I'm going to go to the games and I'll figure out how to get there. After this weekend, I think we're going to sit down and have a more serious conversation. But Pat's one of those guys that I don't need to set his goals for him. He's super independent in that way. Like my role with Pat is more on a day-to-day training role, and he's going to have goals set, and I'm going to help him with that. But I think he's got his plan figured out, but I guess I'm a coach that's different in that way. Like I don't want to set the goals for my athletes. Like the athletes have to set their goals and talk to me about them, but I'm not going to tell them what to do. Yeah. But I will work with them once they have that set in.
And you mentioned like maybe have a little bit more serious conversation with Laura. Like what would that involve? What would that entail? I
think Laura. I mean, this weekend is not really going well for her, and I think that Laura is a different athlete from my other athletes in the sense that she needs maybe a little bit more guidance and a little bit more decision making for her. So we'll sit down and I'm gonna ask her some questions on what she really wants and how she wants to get there, and I'll make up a plan and make sure that she sticks to the plan. But so I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Like last year was easy in the sense that she didn't have all this traveling opportunity. So she went into the gym and did the work that I gave her, and this year is a little bit different. So there's going to be, she needs to have fun and she needs to be able to do what she wants to do. But I think we're going to have to set some ground rules, so to speak. I'm not used to, Pat's 28, my other athletes are older in terms of experience. Like she's not as old, so I have to adapt to her a little bit more.
And so you said maybe this competition hasn't maybe gone as planned.
Yeah.
Can you kind of elaborate that, like how it's gone for her and what
I think she had after the games, I had told her after the games, like, you need to have fun now. Like you need to have some time for yourself, because if I know anything from my career is that my first years I didn't let myself have fun between games, and it creates a kind of cabin fever, and then by January you're kind of sick of all of it, and then after that competition comes, so you stay motivated. But I didn't want that to happen to her, so I told her to, for a month, I'm like, don't talk to me, don't contact me, do what you want, stay fit, keep going to the gym, do what you like to do. But after a month we're gonna get back into things, and we did, but she traveled a lot, and I think that right now she's kind of understanding what that means. So this weekend wasn't the most successful preparation, but that being said, she showed a lot of guts this weekend, and I'm happy about that. Like she had a bad run, her back is flared up. She's hurting right now. So on top of all the poor performances that she is upset about, she's also hurting a lot. So it's not a very good weekend. But and I don't know if she's gonna be happy about me saying this, but I think this is a really important part of her career. As much as I don't ever want any athlete, even less my own, to go through some hard times like that. But it's an important part to learn and to move forward and to really understand what your priorities are. So I think that after this weekend, she's going to really understand what her priorities are, and she's going to make the right decisions to move forward with her goals.
And so beyond that, just the kind of, I guess, maybe maturation level that comes with that, or what are some of the other like physical takeaways at least from some of her performances this week?
Well, I mean, we have always known that her press is her weakness.
Yeah.
It's not a secret. I mean, like, as much as it sucks for her, and it's so hard, and you know, it's people are gonna say, she hasn't been working on it, but she's been working on it, and I've been doing what I can to be creative about it, and I'm gonna have to research more and figure out more ways to get her pressing better, and we've done a lot of work on that, and it just hasn't gone. The progress isn't as quick as we want, but the reality is that CrossFit season is only 1 year.
Yeah.
And seeing progress in 1 year is just, people are so impatient. They're so used to seeing like huge progresses, but it's a physical problem. It's not a technical problem.
Yeah.
So that takes a lot of time, and she's not well endowed to be a good presser, you know. And but we're gonna try and we're gonna keep at it, and we're gonna figure things out. And I'm gonna try and reach out and get some help to see where we can go with this. But beyond the pressing, I think like. What we're seeing is her weakness is right now, and it's easily fixable. Like, her weakness this coming season was balance. You know, she was having a lot of fun, which I respect, and I want her to have fun, because I would be a terrible coach to stop her from enjoying the opportunities that she has. And the decisions to kind of reduce those opportunities have to come from her and not from me. But I think that that weakness of balance comes with age and experience, and an event like this one is the right kind of situation for her to like kick things into gear. So I think really when I look at when I have everything I've seen from her from the minute we started working together until today, her weakness is her only real physical weakness is her press. Mm-hmm. So our work is cut out, you know.
Yeah, totally. And so now maybe more specifically to this year, because like Laura's came in, and rightfully so, is one of the favorites to walk away with the game spot this year.
Yeah.
So now that she doesn't, that can change the trajectory of what the season might look like. So maybe specific to 2019, where do you go from here in terms of like the competition layout and, you know, picking where you place your flag in this new landscape, and not just for her, but maybe for some other athletes who may walk away from events without a game spot that they expect.
I really think that people are forgetting about the Open.
Yeah.
Like the Open, like if you're like personally, if I had been in this situation, I have been consistently in the top 20 of the Open over the last, like, let's say like from my last year of competing, from my first, I'd say the last 3 years, the Open has been consistently like a top 20 finish in the world. I don't understand why that can't be a competition. And you know, like people don't like the Open. They don't like not people, that's not true, but let's say high level games athletes that have consistently been to the games, the Open is not their favorite because it's over 5 weeks. But if you're thinking about it and you've been consistently in the Open, in top 20, whether you like it or not, like, why not?
Yeah.
Now everyone's talking about how, you know, this new format's going to create cheaters in the Open, and like, but fuck, there's been cheaters in the Open since the beginning of the Open.
Yeah.
And so I really think that people are forgetting about that outlet. The problem is that, you know, if I could qualify for the games earlier than the Open, then yeah, but you still have to do the Open, so what's the freaking point?
Yeah.
And it's like, again, CrossFitters and the CrossFit community and everybody is just so short-sighted. They're like, oh my God, Dubai, she didn't win. What's going to happen to her? Like,
yeah.
She's going to move on and she's going to find something else. And you know what? If she doesn't make the games 2018, it's not a big deal. She's 21 years old and she's going to be fine. And we always forget what happened to Sam Briggs in 2013.
Yeah.
You know, she won the games and after that she didn't qualify, and she got stronger every year after that. And it's like the process is longer than 1 year. And people live in it's a good thing to live in the present, but you always have to have one foot on the bigger picture. And the person that Laura is going to become from these, not the athlete, but the person that she's going to become from these events, is gonna help her. You know what I mean? I don't see this. It's obviously right now it sucks. Like, it's hard to look at Laura in the face and say like, hey, you're not going to qualify. It's hard to do that, but it's you know, it's going to happen. It's happened to the best. You know, it's happened to Katrin, it's happened to Sam. And the reality is that last year, Laura's season is one of the rare successful seasons that I've seen in my entire career. Like, rarely do people have such a, I don't want to say easy because I saw her do the work and it's not easy, but she's had a season last year that had no struggle.
Kind of serendipitous almost.
Yeah, it's like just like kind of like Pat on his first year.
Yeah.
You know, and that is so rare, and what she's going through right now is a building block to becoming a real champion, a real winner.
Yeah.
So I think that she's going to mature a lot with this, and I think that that I've learned a lot from it, and I'm going to become, I'm going to put my foot down a little bit more and become a little bit more, I guess, disciplined, because I've always felt like my approach has always been like, you know what, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to ask me to do anything. If your goal is that, then you should be doing it and you shouldn't be asking me. Or then again, like, if, you know, obviously if there's injury involved, and like, I'm always going to remind them the right choices, you know, whatever. But if you have to ask me when it comes to goal stuff, and if you have to come to me when it comes to decision making towards a goal, I'm always going to be like, well,
yeah,
you do what your goal tells you to do, and I'll you know, you tell me you're not having fun anymore and you want to stop competing, and like, that's on you. So anyway, I think you know, all in all, I think in the grand scheme of things, this is a good thing. It's not a great thing. It's a good thing, and it's a necessary evil. You know.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you.